Tonight, a late-night freak accident at sea leaves a man dead and 9 others nursing injuries in hospital. Find out what investigators are saying as Abaco residents react. And the journey to a livable wage. The Labor Minister says consultation continues as government seeks to get it right the first time. Plus, taking Bahamian comedy to the world stage. Our Danielle Miller shares her journey with Comedy Hype. We've got the details as our news weekend starts right now. Welcome to our news, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott. A boatload of workers coming from a quay in Abaco crashes into rocks just seconds away from docking last evening. 1 man is dead and 8 others are getting medical attention back here in the capital. The Public Hospitals Authority telling us 1 of the victims was discharged today and the remaining 7 are in stable condition. All this as investigators try to figure out what led to the tragedy. Our Megan Shepherd was in Abaco today. We begin with her update on the incident.
A freak accident at sea overnight, leaving 1 man dead and 9 others in hospital in the capital. Community leader Pastor Silbert Mills says he got a call around 8:30 p.m. alerting him to the incident. Once on the scene, he met a host of other volunteers and EMS personnel from the local clinic.
About 5 ambulances and found out quickly that there was a boating accident. The numbers were initially pegged at around 20 to 25. Then they reduced the numbers to 21. At that time, 16 persons were transported to the clinic for medical assistance, and there was word that a number of persons were missing.
The police report says the 28-year-old boat operator was transporting 19 passengers from Montage Key to Marsh Harbor on board a white 27-foot, 250-horsepower Yamaha single engine when he struck a rock.
The captain remained behind with the police. He was he had a badly bruised arm, but was still coherent enough to be able to take the police and rescue people to where the collision occurred. And so he was out there, and then around 9:30, 10 o'clock, they found a body that was submerged in waters.
According to Mills, the boat was mere seconds away from their destination when they hit the rock.
This rock is out there. It's not like we don't know it's there. Every boater knows this rock is there on the way to the dock, and they were slightly off course. It was dark, and I don't know what the circumstances were, why he was that far off course to run into.
Police confirming that the passengers were working over on the quay.
Montage is a relatively new resort development on one of the quays situated between the mainland Abaco and Man of War Key. And they've got quite a number of locals working on that quay, and the only way they can get there is by boat every day. Now, I didn't realize that they worked this late. For them to be moving workers this late is another question as to what was going on. Why this had to happen.
All passengers were taken to the local clinic for medical attention, but it was determined that 9 needed additional medical care. Those 9 were airlifted to New Providence. The unresponsive male was declared dead by the district medical doctor. Reporting from the island of Abaco for Our News, I'm Megan Shepherd.
Well, in the wake of the tragic accident, Central and South Abaco Member of Parliament John Pinder says there's a need for better navigational aids around the island to prevent incidents like these. He says it's a major concern as many of the aids were destroyed in Hurricane Dorian.
I do believe marine navigation aids need to be implemented and enhanced throughout the Abacos to provide a better sense of direction when passing through the keys, not only in that section but throughout the Abacos. It is a major need for more navigational aids and those that were destroyed from Dorian.
Pinder tells us the group was traveling back to mainland Abaco. They are all believed to be employees on Montage Key. He commended locals for their assistance, specifically Hopetown volunteer fire and rescue personnel, who he says quickly jumped into action as soon as they got word of the accident.
Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue sent their rescue boat over there to assist in the search and rescue with the Marsh Harbor authorities. My prayers and thoughts go out to specifically the one that lost their life, but also those that were critically injured. And it is definitively a sad day.
A series of arrests ending with 43 foreign nationals charged in the magistrate's court recently. On the charge of illegal landing, 23 Haitian nationals pled guilty and were convicted and fined $300. Failure to pay will end in 1 month at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. On the charge of overstaying, 4 Ecuadorians pled guilty and were convicted and fined $500, or in default of payment served 2 weeks at B-Docks. 1 Jamaican national pled guilty to the charges against him and was convicted and fined $3,000 or 3 months at B-Docks. And 15 Haitian nationals pled guilty and were convicted with fines ranging from $1,000 to $3,000. Failure to pay could result in jail time of up to 6 months. All migrants will be turned over to the Department of Immigration for deportation once the fines are paid or sentence is completed. Cloudy skies outside the Our News studios today, but will the weather remain the same for the rest of the weekend? Meteorologist Ian McKenzie is standing by in the Weather Center with your first check on weather. Good evening, Ian.
Thanks, Berthany, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to your Saturday forecast. Currently outside our studios, we're under mostly clear skies with a temperature of 83. Our winds are from the north at 7 miles per hour with a feels-like temperature of 93. Taking a look at our current temperatures across the country at this time in our nation's second city, Freeport, we have 82, 83 in Marsh Harbor, Governor's Harbor at the capital, and we have 84 in Great Harbor Key, also in Nicholstown, Andros, and the hotspot tonight in the northwest Bahamas coming in at 85 is Allenstown, Bimini. In the central Bahamas, we have a set of 83 straight across the board, 83 in Camps Bay, Georgetown, Exuma, Arthurstown, Kidd Island, Coburn Town, San Salvador, and also Deadman's Key, Long Island. For the southeast Bahamas, we have 85 in Duncantown, Ragged Island, a pair of 83s in Colonel Hill and Delectable Bay, Auckland, 82 in Abraham's Bay, and a pair of 86s in Providenciales, Turks and Caicos, and Matthewtown in Agua. Here's your first look at satellite and radar imagery at this time. Across the northwest Bahamas, we pretty much have stable conditions, and this is all courtesy of a high-pressure system. Elsewhere, we have few streaming clouds across the southeast Bahamas. Not much of a concern at this time. Stick around, your extended forecast and your tropical weather outlook is still to come.
Thanks, Ian. Still to come on Our News, it has to make sense. The Labor Minister says government is in discussion with all sides on a livable wage. And the Bahamas is gearing up to welcome regional leaders in agriculture for a conference. Find out what's on the agenda when Our News Weekend returns.
Doctors Hospital's reimagined primary care. We've invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Government is still in talks with stakeholders on a livable wage, according to Labor Minister Pia Glover-Roll, who says at the end of the day, it has to make sense. The implementation of a livable wage was a promise made in the Blueprint for Change before the Davis administration took office.
Just say it's something that we're actively working towards. It has to make sense. It has to be beneficial to all of the stakeholders. And, this is a tripartite arrangement when it comes to labor. It's the government, it's the employees, but it's also the employers. So we have to make sure that every stakeholder is bought in and that we've done the due diligence that's necessary to make it happen.
Since taking office, the government increased the minimum wage from $210 to $260 per week. Earlier this year, former Labor Minister Keith Bell said the matter was before the Tripartite Council. Glover Roll says the process continues with widespread consultation.
We have to benchmark. We have to speak to all of the stakeholders, because while we would like to ensure that our workers are getting a decent pay, we can't afford to put businesses out of business as well. So we have to make sure the consultation happens, that everybody's on the same page, but it is something that we continue to work towards.
The Bahamas is gearing up to host the largest agriculture event in the region. Agriculture Minister Jomo Campbell telling us over 300 people have registered for the Caribbean Week of Agriculture set for October 9th through the 13th. The event will also see forums on cannabis.
We will be hosting a special session on cannabis farming where high-level stakeholders, and no pun intended, where high-level stakeholders in the region will speak to their experience about medical cannabis. This session is entitled A Regional Conversation on Cannabis.
Other topics range from youth in dialogue, lining production and productivity initiatives. International agriculture organizations will also host seminars geared towards bolstering agriculture in the country and the region. There will also be a trade show.
We will have over 30 vendors that will be showcasing both regional and local products. Throughout this event, we intend to connect producers to buyers and host a business-to-business seminar that would educate producers on the ever-changing standards of buyers.
When our news comes back from the break, a regional council is eyeing Grand Bahama for some big opportunities there. We'll tell you what's on the table. And making a difference, a local company is preparing to feed 10,000 people for Thanksgiving. We have the details when our news returns. This is our news weekend. Welcome back. Managing Director of the Caribbean Council, Chris Bennett, says there are huge opportunities in Grand Bahama after the first UK trade mission in over 20 years toward the island this week. He says the existing framework impressed many.
We had a very comprehensive tour of all of the facilities on Grand Bahama. There's obviously a huge opportunity in Grand Bahama to convert what is already a well-planned, master-planned site into something much larger and with a diversified range of economic activities.
Over 10 British companies took part in the trade mission this week, spanning industries like steel, industrial equipment, bulk terminal operations, and shipping. And experts in these industries could be a great help to the continued development of the island, Bennett says.
Some of the companies that we have on board could be definitely part of that, whether it's on the port side, whether it's on the energy side, whether it's on hurricane-proof steel buildings side. There are some definite opportunities. So yes, it was a really productive day, and we were excited to be there.
The Bahamas Striping Group of Companies plans to feed 10,000 Bahamians this Thanksgiving. 2,000 of that goal will be in Grand Bahama. It's all a part of their Let's Make a Difference initiative, which also saw them teach 300 children in New Providence to swim this summer. Bahamas Striping Group of Companies President Natario Mitchell says this feeding initiative isn't meant to take away from other programs, but to help get meals out there.
We encourage persons to just reach out and let's see if they have something on their plan or in their drawing board that they are looking at doing for Thanksgiving. They reach out and let's see if there could be a partnership. How we intend to roll out our program is to assist the persons like the feeding network, as well as people who have their own feeding programs, is either provide the groceries or partner with them whereby they could cook the food or in the distribution of the food.
The initiative goes beyond New Providence and Grand Bahama, spanning 17 family islands. And Bahamas Striping Group of Companies Executive Chairman Dominic Stirrup says the ingredients will come from fresh produce thanks to a special partnership.
We have BAIC who has come on board to donate all of the produce for our initiative throughout the Bahamas. So that means there's a lot of produce that have to leave Nassau to go to respective islands. But what the good part about that means that you will have fresh grown native vegetables on your plate on Thanksgiving Day.
When our news comes back from the break, we take a look at Comedy Hype and how they are taking Bahamian talent to the world. Stay with us. Welcome back to our news weekend. It's now time for your extended check on weather. Meteorologist Ian McKenzie is standing by with the latest. Ian.
Thanks, Bethany. Welcome back, everyone. Here's a look at your extended forecast, where we begin with the tropics right now. Across our area, not much of a concern. We have a tropical wave that should pass just to the south of the southeastern islands, trigger 1 or 2 pockets of showers, isolated thunderstorms tonight through tomorrow. Well into the central Atlantic, we have another tropical wave, and just further east of that, there is a tropical wave that's being monitored by the National Hurricane Center, and this system has about a 70% chance for tropical cyclone development. However, the system is expected to form and then take a northwest and eventually a northward track away from our area, similar to what we saw in Lee and the other systems so far. Our focus now will be on the Gulf of Mexico through October 11th through 12th, where there is a low to medium chance for possible development over the next several days. Taking a look at our boating forecast at this time, we have a risk of rip currents out there for you swimmers. Winds will be variable at 10 knots or less, seas running 1 to 3, but up to 5 feet in those northeasterly swells. You can expect a low tide tonight at 9:59 p.m. with a high tide tomorrow morning at 3:51 a.m. Here's a look at your national forecast. And in your extended forecast, yes, Monday is a holiday. We expect favorable conditions across the capital through Monday. Back to work Tuesday, we expect a bump in rain chances straight through pretty much to the end of the week, and that'll be courtesy of a frontal boundary that is expected to stall just north of our area and increase rain chances. We're looking at those highs to get up into the upper 80s, low 90s, with our low temperatures getting down into the mid to upper 70s. That puts a wrap on your Saturday evening forecast. Have a great night, everyone. Have fun. Stay safe.
Thanks, Ian. Are you a creative looking to get your material on a global stage? Well, tonight, our Danielle Miller takes us inside the Comedy Hype Studios in Atlanta for an exclusive interview with the company's founder, who shares some great nuggets for getting to the world stage.
Established in 2015, Comedy Hype is a digital media brand that dives into the culture at large through a comedic lens. With more than 41 million viewers worldwide, for the first time in the company's history, they now have a Caribbean face featured on their new show. Her name is Danielle Miller. That's right, yours truly is a part of the Hype family. And this summer, Comedy Hype officially launched their first Biggest Laugh Tour. While attending, I was able to pull company lead John Abba to ask him why he chose someone from a small country like the Bahamas.
If you think about Comedy Hype, we're really a cultural show. We want to connect. It's supposed to be the voice of our people is really what the goal is about, which you have different perspectives added to one place. Mm-hmm. So to have someone from the islands gives us a level of connection. What's going on with y'all? We got the same similarities. We from the same blood, but we're like distant relatives, distant cousins. Mm-hmm. So I think that adds to the level of our strength as a people when we know what's going on in other places with us.
Built from the ground up, Throughout the years, the company has a team of 10 contracted professionals and conducted interviews with names like Academy Award-winning actress Monique and co-founder of Rockefeller, Dame Dash, just to name a few. So I couldn't let John go without asking him, what advice would he give to the creative who is trying to take their craft to the next level?
Keep going. KG. There's when you're on a journey, when you go into different places that you've never been, a part of that journey, you're going to sometimes feel like, am I making the right decisions? And I think a lot of times in my journey, I didn't have like a person right there that knew and has done exactly what I'm doing now. So what drove me was the fact I just told myself, I got to keep going. I got to figure it out. And when you keep going, you'll eventually figure it out. That darkness in the tunnel will sometimes become sunshine. And so I think that's the big model for us, is to keep going. Even when it's like, there's times when it doesn't seem like, what the heck am I doing? Mm-hmm. Tonight is going to be somewhat of a play for us too. But I really feel like these are things we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to try. How would you get any progression if you don't try? So this is what this is about. And if this works out the way we plan for it to work out, then ultimately, we got another win for us, another W.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Thanks, Danielle, and congratulations. Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight on behalf of the entire team. I'm Berthany McDermott. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.